Something in heaven was just revealed about you. And you have 48 hours. Not a metaphor. Not a feeling. A window, opened in the unseen realm, that exists specifically for you, specifically right now, and will not remain open forever. You didn't find this video. This video found you. You were scrolling. You were tired. You were carrying something heavy that no one around you can see. And in the middle of all that noise, something stopped you here. That is not coincidence. That is not the algorithm. That is an appointment that was written before you were born, and it is being fulfilled in this exact moment, at this exact hour of your life. Something was said about you in heaven. Not whispered. Not wished. Declared. Your name was spoken in a room you cannot see, and what was said about you would change everything you believe about why you're still here, why you've been through what you've been through, and what is coming for you in the next 48 hours. Because heaven doesn't open windows for entertainment. When a window opens, it means something is ready to move. Something is ready to be released. Something that has been held, by forces you don't fully understand, is being broken loose, right now, in this season of your life. And you are standing at the threshold. The question isn't whether this message is real. The question is whether you'll let yourself receive it before the window closes. Because in 48 hours, this moment will be behind you. And what you do with it, right now in this chair in this room, with these tears you're holding back, will determine what the next chapter of your life looks like. You are more than you know. And heaven just proved it. If this message reached you at exactly the right moment, type 48 in the comments right now, and subscribe so the next message finds you too. Part 1. The truth named. The wound validated. The window declared. Let's start with the truth you haven't been able to say out loud. You have been waiting. Not the kind of waiting where you check your phone. Not the restless kind. The deep kind. The kind that lives in the silence after midnight when everything is still and something inside you says, "Is this it? Is this all there is? Did I miss it?" You have been carrying a question that has no simple answer. A question that hides behind your smile and your discipline and your morning routines. A question that surfaces when you're alone and the world gets quiet enough to hear it. Why is it taking so long? You did the work. You changed. You believed. You let go of things that hurt you. You chose better. You prayed. You pushed through seasons that would have broken someone with less courage than you carry. And still, you find yourself in a place that doesn't yet match the promise you feel in your chest. And that gap between where you are and where you know you're supposed to be, that gap has been slowly, quietly, doing something to your faith. Heaven sees that. Heaven sees the prayers you stopped finishing. The worship that faded into silence halfway through because you didn't have the strength to believe the words you were singing. Heaven sees the night you lay in the dark and asked if any of this was real. If you were real. If the calling you felt all those years ago was something true or just something you invented because you needed hope to survive. Heaven sees every single moment. And here is what was declared about you in that unseen room. You did not miss it. Let that land. Don't rush past it. Sit in it for a moment. You did not miss your moment. You did not walk past your blessing. You did not disqualify yourself with your doubt or your grief or your mistakes. What was spoken about you in heaven was not a eulogy for a life gone wrong. It was a commissioning. A formal declaration. Witnessed. Sealed. Irreversible. And you have 48 hours to step into the first movement of everything that was declared. Not because the universe runs on clocks. But because there are seasons in the spiritual realm, and this is yours. Right now. This week. These next 48 hours that began the moment this message reached you are not ordinary hours. They are a corridor. A divinely appointed stretch of time that exists for the sole purpose of shifting you from one reality into another. You need to understand something about how heaven works. Heaven does not announce what is coming to the masses. Heaven speaks to the individual. Quietly. Precisely. Into the exact moment where that person is ready to receive. And the fact that you are here, right now in this moment, with this specific exhaustion and this specific longing and this specific question burning inside you, means you are ready. The window is open. Not for everyone. For you. For the version of you that has been waiting in the dark long enough to finally trust the light when it comes. For the version of you that has been pruned and refined and stripped down to the raw essential core of who you really are. That version, the one you've been becoming through every hard season, is the one heaven has been preparing to step into what's next. And what's next begins in the next 48 hours. But first, you need to hear what was said about you. Because there is something about your identity, something about who you actually are at the deepest level, that has been hidden from you. Hidden by lies. Hidden by old wounds. Hidden by the voices of people who didn't have the capacity to see what they were looking at when they looked at you. You have been living underneath your actual identity. You have been operating from a version of yourself that is smaller, quieter, and more apologetic than the being you actually are. You have shrunk yourself to fit into rooms that were never meant to hold you. You have dimmed your light to avoid making others uncomfortable with your shine. You have called that humility. Heaven calls it something else. Heaven calls it a cage. And what was spoken about you in that room, what was declared over your life with the weight of eternity behind it, was that the cage door is open. Has been open. You just haven't believed it yet. Because somewhere along the way someone, or many someones, told you that who you are is not enough. That what you carry is too much. That the dreams in your chest are too big for someone like you. And you heard that so many times from so many directions, that it started to feel like truth. It was never truth. It was a strategy. A targeted, specific, deliberate strategy designed to keep you from walking into what heaven prepared for you. Because here is what they never told you. When someone is afraid of your light, they don't say you're too bright. They say you're not bright enough. When someone cannot contain what you carry, they don't say I can't handle this. They say you're too much. And you believed them. You took their fear and you wore it like a verdict. But heaven has been watching all of it. Every moment you made yourself smaller. Every moment you swallowed your worth. Every moment you almost walked away from the vision but chose to stay one more day, one more hour, one more prayer. Heaven recorded all of it. And in that room where your name was spoken, every single one of those moments was counted. Seen. Honored. Because what the enemy meant to use to break you, the rejection, the delay, the seasons of silence, the people who couldn't see you, heaven used to build you. To press into you a strength that could not have been developed any other way. To carve out in you a depth that only comes through being emptied. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are not disqualified. You are prepared. And the proof of that preparation is the fact that you are still here. Still breathing. Still searching. Still hoping for something your mind has tried to talk you out of, but your spirit will not release. That something, that stubborn, irreducible sense that there is more, that is not delusion. That is the echo of what was declared about you in heaven. And you have 48 hours to answer it. Part 2. Deeper into the wound. The pressure rises. The clock becomes real. Let's go deeper. Because the surface version of your story is not the one heaven is working with. The surface version says, I've had a hard life. Some things didn't work out. I'm trying to move forward. That version is real. That version is valid. But it is not the version that was spoken about in heaven. The version heaven sees is different. Heaven sees the child you were before the world decided who you should become. Heaven sees the moment the light in you was first dimmed, and by whom, and under what circumstances. Heaven sees the exact wound that set the trajectory of every struggle that followed. And heaven sees something you have never been able to fully see. That wound was not a mistake. It was an attempt. A targeted, purposeful attempt to interrupt what you were created to carry. Because here's what the darkness understood about you even when you didn't. What lives inside you is dangerous to everything that doesn't want this world to be redeemed. The gifts in you, the calling on your life, the capacity you have to shift rooms and change atmospheres and bring light into places that have been dark for generations. All of that makes you a threat. You don't feel like a threat. You feel like a tired person trying to make it through the week. But what you feel and what you are two entirely different things. And these 48 hours, this window that heaven has opened specifically around your life right now, are here to close the gap between what you feel and what you actually are. Let's talk about the weight you carry. Not the problems. The weight. The invisible kind. The kind that sits on your chest in the morning before you get out of bed. The kind that follows you into conversations and makes everything feel slightly heavier than it should. The kind that no amount of rest seems to touch. You have been carrying something that was never meant for you to carry alone. You have been holding the grief of people who never grieved. Processing the pain of generations who never had the language or the safety to process it themselves. You have been absorbing, like a sponge, the unhealed wounds of everyone around you, And you have called that empathy, called that strength, called that love. And in some ways, it is all of those things. But it is also slowly crushing you. And heaven is saying, put it down. Not because it doesn't matter. Not because the people behind that weight don't deserve love. But because you cannot walk into what is waiting for you in the next 48 hours carrying what you were never meant to carry in the first place. There is a release available to you right now. A specific, real, spiritually substantial release. And it is tied to this window, this 48-hour corridor that began when this message reached you. You have 48 hours to release what is not yours. To lay down what has been handed to you by people who didn't know any better. To stop performing strength for an audience that has never seen your real face. Heaven is not asking you to be strong right now. Heaven is asking you to be real. Because what was declared about you in that unseen room was not about your performance. It was about your essence. The thing that remains when you strip away the titles and the roles and the carefully constructed version of yourself that you show the world. Your essence is extraordinary. Not because you earned it. Not because you achieved it. Because you were built that way. Because something was placed inside you before you arrived here. Something ancient, something specific, something that the world needs and does not yet fully have, and every single thing you have been through has been in service of activating that thing. And it is activating. Right now. In this season. You can feel it. Even under the exhaustion. Even under the doubt. There is something stirring, a restlessness that is not anxiety, a yearning that is not ambition, a fire that keeps reigniting no matter how many times you have tried to let it go. That fire is heaven reminding you of what was declared. And the clock is moving. These 48 hours will not pause. They will not extend themselves out of mercy. The window that has been opened around your life right now is real, and it is specific, and it is tied to a momentum that heaven is moving in your direction at this exact moment. This is not the time to wait and see. This is the time to receive. To open your hands, the ones that have been clenched for so long, holding on, holding up, holding together everything around you, and to finally let something be poured into you. Because here is what the declaration over your life includes. Restoration. Not the gentle kind. Not the slow trickle of healing over years. The sudden kind. The kind that shows up like sunrise, not gradual, but present all at once where there was darkness before. What was taken from you, the time, the relationships, the resources, the years of your life spent in seasons that felt like they would never end, heaven has a record of all of it. And what was declared about you includes a return. A restoration of what the hard seasons consumed. A recompense for the investment of your suffering. But you have to receive it. You have to stand in the window and say, yes, I am the one this was declared for. I receive this. I believe this. I am ready. And you have 48 hours to say it. Not because God will give up on you if you don't, but because you will move on. Life will pull you forward. The window will pass. And in 3 days you will be in a different moment, facing different pressures, and this particular alignment, this specific constellation of internal readiness and divine movement and open spiritual corridor, will have been and gone. Don't let it pass. Don't be the person who stood at the door of everything that was declared for them and chose not to walk through because they were afraid it wouldn't last, afraid they didn't deserve it, afraid that hope one more time would be one more chance to be disappointed. Heaven is not setting you up for disappointment. Heaven is setting you up for everything you have ever believed was possible. And it starts in the next 48 hours. Part 3. The Revelation. Everything tilts. The count becomes inescapable. There is something you need to know about why you specifically are in this moment. Not people like you. Not those with similar stories. You. The exact, specific, irreplaceable you, with your particular history, your particular wounds, your particular gifts, your particular name. You were chosen before the world was formed. Not selected from a pool. Not promoted from a list. Chosen. As in, looked at and decided upon. As in, when all of eternity stretched out before the Creator, your existence was not an afterthought or an accident or a consequence of biology. Your existence was a decision. A deliberate decision. And here is why that matters in the next 48 hours. Because chosen people carry things. They carry weight that ordinary seasons cannot explain. They carry delay that logic cannot justify. They carry fire that circumstances should have extinguished a long time ago. And yet here you are. Still carrying the fire. Still refusing to completely let go of the thing that was placed inside you before your first breath. Still in the quiet moments, feeling the pull of something greater than the life you are currently living. That pull is not ambition. That pull is not ego. That pull is the echo of a declaration made in heaven about who you are and what you are for. And it has been pulling you toward this moment. Let me tell you what was declared. It was declared that you are a carrier of something rare. Not rare as invaluable to collectors, rare as in genuinely uncommon in the earth right now. The specific combination of what you have endured, what you have survived, what you have learned, what you carry in your spiritual DNA. There is no one else on the planet with this exact profile. No one else available for this exact assignment. Which is why the delay made no sense. Which is why the pruning was so severe. Which is why the preparation felt like punishment for so long. You are being made ready for something that requires exactly you. Not a version of you. Not you on your best day. You, the complete you, including the parts that have been broken and reformed, including the wisdom that only comes from having lost something, including the compassion that only grows in the soil of suffering. All of it was necessary. All of it was intentional. All of it was building toward a moment that heaven has always known was coming, and that moment is here. It is now. It is in these 48 hours that close around you like a holy parenthesis in the middle of your ordinary life. And inside this parenthesis, something is being unlocked. Not metaphorically. Spiritually, literally. There are doors in the unseen realm that have been closed, not because you were unworthy, but because you were not yet ready. Not because the promise was false, but because the timing required the completion of a preparation that took longer than you wanted and shorter than it felt. The preparation is complete. The doors are opening. In the next 48 hours, you will begin to feel it. Not as a thunderclap, though sometimes it is that, but as a shift. A subtle, unmistakable shift in the atmosphere of your life. A sense that something has moved. That what was blocked is beginning to flow. That what was sleeping is beginning to stir. Pay attention to that feeling. Don't dismiss it as wishful thinking. Don't explain it away with logic. Don't minimize it because the circumstances around you haven't visibly changed yet. Heaven moves first in the unseen realm. Then it manifests in the visible one. And the movement has already begun. Let me tell you what this looks like in the practical dimensions of your life. The relationship that seemed beyond repair, something is about to shift in that spiritual atmosphere. The door that has been closed in your career, your finances, your creative life, a key is being placed in your hand. The healing that you stopped believing was possible for your body, your mind, your heart, the conditions that heaven needs to complete that healing are being arranged right now. This is not a promise that your life will become perfect in 48 hours. This is a declaration that the trajectory of your life is changing in 48 hours. Direction matters more than speed. And the direction that has felt stuck, immovable, locked, impossible, is turning. Right now. In the unseen realm that governs everything you see. But you have a role to play. Heaven does not force open the door of a life that is held shut from the inside. The window is open. The declaration has been made. The movement is real. But there is a cooperation required of you that no one else can provide. You have to choose to believe it. Not a passive belief. Not an intellectual agreement. An active, embodied, costly belief that says, I receive this. I step into this. I trust what was declared about me even when my circumstances have not yet confirmed it. That kind of belief is not free. It costs you something. It costs you the protection of low expectations. The safety of not hoping too much. The armor of cynicism you have built up through years of believing and being disappointed. Heaven is asking you to be vulnerable one more time. To believe one more time. To step through the window one more time, knowing you've been hurt before, knowing you've hoped before and the hope felt like it led nowhere, knowing all of that and stepping through anyway. Because this time is different. Not because you feel different. Not because the circumstances look different. Because the spiritual architecture around your life has changed. Because what was declared about you in heaven has reached the moment of its activation. Because the 48-hour window that surrounds you right now is not an invitation to try again. It is an announcement that you have already won. The battle is over. The verdict is in. The declaration has been made in the court of heaven, and it cannot be reversed, and it cannot be appealed, and it cannot be stolen from you by anyone or anything in the visible or invisible realm. The only question is whether you will live like it is true. The only question is whether you will let the declaration become your identity before the window closes. And you have 48 hours. Less now than when this message found you. Use them. Part 4. The transformation. New identity. The promise fulfilled. Maximum power. This is the part where everything changes. Not the part where you feel better. Not the part where the pain is explained away. The part where you are transformed. Where you step out of this message as a different person than you stepped into it. Where the declaration spoken over you in heaven becomes the lens through which you see your past, your present, and your approaching future. Here is your new identity. You are not a person who survived hardship. You are a warrior who was forged by fire and is now ready for the battle you were always meant to fight. You are not a person who was rejected and abandoned. You are a vessel that was protected, kept from relationships, environments, and seasons that would have diluted what heaven placed inside you. You are not a person who is running behind. You are a person who is arriving exactly on time into a destiny that was written with the precision of divine engineering. Every single thing that felt like a setback was a setup. Every single door that closed was closing in the wrong direction to protect you from what was behind it. Every single relationship that ended was clearing space for what is coming. Every single delay was divine positioning, moving you into exactly the right location in time and space for what is about to be released into your life. You were not forsaken. You were prepared. You were not forgotten. You were hidden, the way a seed is hidden in the ground before the breakthrough, the way a fire is hidden in the coal before the spark, the way gold is hidden in the earth before the refining. And the refining is complete. The hiding season is over. The 48 hours you are living in right now are not just the announcement of that completion. They are the first steps of the emergence. The ground is opening. The breaking forth is happening. The light is beginning to come through every crack in the surface of the life you have been living. And it cannot be stopped. I want you to do something right now. I want you to breathe. Deeply. Like someone who has permission to take up space. Like someone who just remembered that air was created for their lungs. Like someone who has been holding their breath for so long that the act of breathing fully feels almost like transgression. You have permission to breathe. You have permission to take up space. You have permission to believe that what was declared about you in heaven is real, and is moving, and is arriving in your life with the momentum of everything that has been held back for every season that the answer was not yet. Because the answer is no longer not yet. The answer is now. In these 48 hours that stretch out before you, these hours that will feel ordinary on the outside but are extraordinary in the unseen realm, you are being asked to do one thing. One thing that is simultaneously the simplest and the hardest thing a human being can do. Receive. Receive the love that has always been there. Receive the identity that was declared before you were formed. Receive the restoration of everything the hard seasons consumed. Receive the opening of every door that the right time has finally come to open. Receive the healing, physical, emotional, spiritual, that your body and your heart and your soul have been waiting for. Receive the you that heaven has always seen. Because here is the version of you that was declared in that room. Powerful. Whole. Purposeful. Anointed. Protected. Chosen. Loved not for what you produce or perform or provide. Loved for what you are. Loved with a love that preceded your birth and will outlast your last breath and is not diminished by a single thing you have ever done or left undone. That is the declaration. That is the truth that heaven spoke over your life. And it is available to you right now, in these final hours of this specific window, with a fullness and a clarity and a force that is particular to this moment and will feel different tomorrow and gone within 48 hours. This is not the message that will always be available when you're ready. This is the message that is available now. Right now. In this exact moment where your readiness and heaven's timing have converged into something sacred and irrepeatable. Let it in. Don't protect yourself from it. Don't intellectualize it. Don't save it for later when you feel more worthy, more prepared, more sure. You are as worthy as you will ever be. You are more prepared than you know. And the certainty you are waiting to feel before you believe, that certainty does not come before the belief. It comes from the belief. Step first. The ground will rise to meet your foot. Believe first. The evidence will organize itself around the belief. Receive first. The fullness of what was declared will manifest in the space created by your receiving. You are standing at the threshold of everything that was promised before your first breath. The door is open. The window is closing in less than 48 hours. The declaration is real. The movement is already happening in the realm that governs the realm you can see. And you specifically, only you, this exact version of you at this exact moment in the history of your one irreplaceable life, are the person this was all declared for. Walk through the door. Walk through it with the full weight of everything you have carried and the full brightness of everything you were created to be. Walk through it with your tears and your questions and your still healing wounds. Walk through it with a faith that is the size of a mustard seed, because heaven has never needed your faith to be large, only real. Walk through it. Because on the other side of this threshold is the life that was declared for you before the foundations of the earth were laid. The life you have been catching glimpses of in your quietest moments. The life that your spirit has always known was possible and your mind has been afraid to fully believe. It is real. It is waiting. It is already yours. And the next 48 hours will prove it. You came to this message as one version of yourself. You are leaving as another. Not because the words were magic, but because something in you recognized the truth of what was declared. Something ancient and quiet and undefeatable, the part of you that has never stopped believing, even when everything told it to stop, rose up inside you in this moment and said, "Yes, this is mine. I receive this." And heaven heard that. Heaven records every moment a person chooses to believe in their own declaration. Every moment someone says yes to the life that was prepared for them before they were born. Every moment of courage disguised as simply staying in a message long enough to let it reach the real place. Heaven recorded yours. What happens next is not up to the window. The window is closing. These 48 hours are finite and real, and the urgency you feel is not manufactured. It is the sensation of something actually moving in the realm that governs all things. What happens next is up to you. Not the you who doubts. The you who declared, in the space of this message, even silently, even without fully formed words, that you are ready. That you receive. That you believe what was spoken over your life in the unseen room where your name was called. Go live like it. Go back into your ordinary Tuesday or Thursday or sleepless 2 a.m. and live like the declaration is true. Not because you have proof yet. Because you have something stronger than proof. You have the word of the one who does not lie, who does not delay without purpose, who does not open a window only to let the rain in. You have a promise. Carry it like the treasure it is. And when the manifestation comes, not if, when, remember this moment. Remember the 48 hours. Remember the window. Remember what was declared about you in heaven before you were ready to hear it. Because what God declares, God delivers. Every time. Without exception. Without delay beyond exactly the right moment. And this is that moment. Subscribe so you never miss a message that was written for you. Because there is more coming. For you. Specifically. And heaven is not finished speaking.